Hello and welcome back to the channel and welcome to another Doctor Who reaction. This is The Power of the Doctor and it is the BBC's centenary special episode, because when you're 100 years old, why not celebrate by doing a special of your most popular and most profitable export? And that has, and always probably will be, Doctor Who. So, what have we got to look forward to? Before I start, there's going to be spoilers right from the start, because I do know a couple of things that's going to happen in this episode, or at least I know some spoilers. So, make sure you've watched the episode first before watching this reaction. Right, okay then. We're all good now. So, I know that Sophie Aldred is going to be in it, and that thrills me like you wouldn't believe, because Ace is among my favourite companions. And it kind of makes sense because she released a book, a Doctor Who related book about her character not so long ago, and she did a full televised promotion for it. So her character's already got a lot of backstory off screen, so it makes sense. I'm hoping to see other companions, maybe. Of the ones that is likely, Tegan, Adric, maybe even Nyssa. Nyssa seems more unlikely than the other two. In fact, Adric, it seems unlikely. Knowing what actually happened to him in the classics story, and Nyssa seems unlikely because of what happened to her in the original stories. But Tegan's definitely a possibility, and a guest appearance by Matthew Waterhouse or Sarah Sutton wouldn't be unwelcome. Admittedly, it would be a little bit difficult to write their characters in as they played them, but they could play other characters. That would be good. I think Wendy Padbury's still knocking around. An appearance by Fraser Hines. So a guest appearance by either of them wouldn't go amiss either. Then there's new Who companions, Martha, Rose, Donna. They're all a possibility. I'm rooting for Tegan. Past Doctors that could be in this. Well, really, anyone from Peter Davison onwards. I think Tom Baker's a little bit too old now to reprise his role, but he could make an appearance as the curator again. But Peter Davison, Sylvester McCoy, Colin Baker, Christopher Eccleston, David Tennant, I know is going to be in it. Matt Smith, maybe. We know Jodie Whittaker's definitely going to be in it. As for who she's going to... Well, as for whether we're going to get a regeneration at the end of this episode, I don't know, but I think so. And we all know who's been announced to be the next Doctor. I told you there was going to be spoilers. Nchuti Gatwa. But a lot of people have speculated whether Jodie Whittaker is going to actually regenerate into Gatwa, or whether she's going to regenerate into someone else, maybe David Tennant, and then they will regenerate into Gatwa. Or maybe the BBC were just playing a really, really big ruse, and Gatwa isn't even going to be playing the Doctor at all. They just did that as a red herring, and I would admire them so much if that's what they had done. But it seems unlikely. What else? Plot lines. What do I think the plot lines are going to be? Well, I don't know. I expect we're going to see the disappearance of Yaz. If John Bishop's in it, then I think he's going to only be in it for this one episode again, and then he's going to be out. Do we have an introduction of a new companion, or a character that could possibly become a new companion when the season returns next year? It's possible. Are we going to get mention of the Timeless Children, the Flux, the Division, and all that really unpopular stuff? Because all that storyline was really unpopular and really quite confusing to the fans. Are we going to get more of that? Are we going to get more of Jo Martin? I mean, I kind of hope we do get some more of Jo Martin, because she played the Doctor really, really well. Really, I would prefer it if the BBC just forgot about all that Timeless Children and all that business, because I just don't like it. It just makes the Doctor just this super, super, super special, even amongst the special Time Lords, that she's super special. And I always liked the bumbling Doctor, the Doctor that didn't really know what they were doing. They were just bumbling. They didn't even know how to fly the TARDIS properly. They just bumbled around. So this all-powerful Doctor that started off at the beginning of time and gave the Time Lords their regenerative powers, and basically become the catalyst for the entire Time Lord society, doesn't play well with me. I mean, I enjoyed the episodes, and it was quite a fascinating storyline, but I don't like it being in the canon. The Division, on the other hand, I quite like that, apart from where it ties in with the Timeless Children. But the whole Division kind of is reminiscent of the Celestial Intervention Agency from the books, I think. So it's a Rose by any other name sort of thing. So I don't have a problem with that. What else is there? The Flux. Just ignore that, please. As for the rest of Chibnall's era, it hasn't been too bad. I think Chibnall was out of his depth a lot of the time. He wrote really well for Torchwood, but writing for the main show, I think, was a little bit. I think his ideas basically just didn't relate very well on the screen. But this is his last chance to wow us. So let's find out what he's got in store for us. Like I said, I know that Sophie Aldred's going to be in it, and I'm pretty sure that David Tennant's going to be in it, but I'm not 100% on that one. Right. Cybermen. Let's hope they're not Cyber Time Lords, which I'd also like to forget. Oh God, they are Cyber Time Lords. That's going to be the Master, isn't it? It's a prison.
I'm the Doctor.
Oh no, not the Master.
It's all right.
It's a child.
Don't be scared.
Just gave them exactly what they wanted.
Father Grigori, I have a message from the Tsarina.
Father Grigori.
This is urgently required
Oh
to Winter Palace.
God, it's Rasputin.
She's been taken ill.
Ace.
When I opened it up, there was a Russian doll toy box inside. But there was also a card from the Doctor. So,
A Cyberman.
of all the things, why would the Doctor send me that? That's not a fond memory.
Oh God, Rasputin is the Master.
Cybermen everywhere we go right now, Yaz.
Hello. Somebody else, one of the other Doctors has found. Cloister bell's going.
Yours from another time.
Right.
mysteries of the universe. I've never seen one before, Yaz. Sentient energy, enough to power planets and civilizations. They're so rare.
Are you ready for this?
No.
Me neither. I believe you three know each other of old.
Oh, wow. You said a woman. You never said young.
Tegan. Ace?
That is a good look on you, Professor.
That's not Rasputin. That's the Master.
What?
Greetings, seismology fans. If you're craving answers to life's little mysteries, my keynote address at the International Seismology Memorial Conference is now starting at a conference hall vaguely near you. Really, honestly, truly. This is the day you die. No. Not just die. This is the day you are erased from existence.
Oh, that would do it.
Tegan Joe Funker. How's your Auntie Vanessa? Do you keep her in a little doll's house?
I'm going to enjoy watching you locked up in a tiny cell.
That's right, you tell me. And Ace! Should I say Dorothy? Didn't the doctor ditch you?
Oh.
Little fallout with your Machiavellian maestro.
Last time I saw you, you were half cat.
Man's allowed to experiment.
Take
That ain't just any Cyberman. It's a Russian doll.
Oh, God. It's a TARDIS.
Right? Do you like the garb? I love the garb. Got a dress for the occasion. I was just thinking.
Eric Roberts' Master reference.
Forced regeneration, Doctor.
Is
It's you to regenerate into me.
what? She's going to regenerate into him? How does that even work? Oh, he's gone for the scarf as well, and the Seventh Doctor cardigan.
Sticker.
Where is she? The land of the past Doctors. Ah.
Well, you're obviously one of the more determined of us.
What are we going to do about it?
You
Colin.
about what?
Our predicament. And you were doing so well.
That's why we're here, to stop you.
Paul McGann. Woohoo!
You are not finished.
We are not finished.
Great. Now I'm hallucinating. What do you... You sort of look like you used to, but not quite.
I could say the same to you.
Well, what am I thinking seeing all these Cybermen?
Adric.
Yes, of course. I'm glad Adric got a mention.
92999. Just what we need. Good work, Ace.
So it's fine for me to blow stuff up when you decide.
It's never fine to blow stuff up.
Now it's getting freaky.
I was only ever trying to teach you good habits, Ace. Obviously, I failed.
You failed me, Professor. You made me the person I am today.
Yeah.
So, we're good.
Oh, we're more than good. We're Ace.
Peter and Sylvester in full costume as well. Chuffed.
Who are you?
So Joe Martin, the fugitive Doctor.
I'm the doctor, mate. Who the hell are you?
She's not there. She's a hologram.
So it was just the genetic material you put into them, was it? Maybe you should have included the brains. Next time, the signs of a hologram.
I don't need to sign the lease.
Wow. Remind me never to mess with either of you.
I thought that was a given.
Oh, I have loved being with you, Yaz.
Time to go, Doctor. Time to go. No regeneration. I thought we was going to get a regeneration. Well, we did, but I thought we was going to get a canonical regeneration.
I'm Graham, and apparently I've got to be the first one to talk, so... Right.
Is this
I have this problem.
Companions of the Doctor Survivors meeting?
And I got whooshed away.
Oh, there's Bonnie Langford.
I reckon there are more
Mel.
people out there too. So maybe...
That's not Ian Chesterton, is it? Was that William Russell?
Doctor, whoever I'm about to be. Tag. You're it.
Nice regeneration energy. But can we see the face, please? Can we see the change? Thank you. That's David Tennant.
What? What?
What? Okay, I've had a little think about this episode now. I can finally present my thoughts. Okay, this was, say, 85 to 90% fan service. But behind this fan service, there was a plot. It was a fairly high stakes, high pressure, end of the world kind of doomsday scenario episode, but on the whole, it was average. It was average. If it wasn't for the fan service, this would be just an average, high stakes, extra long episode. A little bit like End of Time, and that's what I would liken it to. The End of Time, when the Master became everybody. This time he became the Doctor, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. Right. Let's start. Right, the Master and the Cyber Masters. We knew they were going to come back. We knew that was going to be important. And they're back. The trouble is, it writes yourself into a corner. The Cybermen are now virtually invincible because of this. Their ability to regenerate, possibly unlimited regenerations, makes them a very formidable foe, and something's going to have to be written to take that away from them at some point. But we knew it was going to come back, and it came back. And the way it all fitted together with the Dalek, Cyberman, Master, Triple Alliance seemed unlikely. It seems unlikely, but if anyone can unite the Daleks and the Cybermen into one army, the Master would be that person. So, not totally out of the realms of possibility. I didn't get the 1916 stuff. I don't know why we had to see the Master disguise himself as Rasputin, or any reason to have that planet, machine planet, be in 1916 in a different time zone to the rest of the story. It didn't seem any point whatsoever. Just distracted from the main plot, I think. They could have just introduced the Master in the same way that they always do, just bring him in. But no, they had to go through this elaborate 1916, the Master is Rasputin. I quite liked the idea at first, but they didn't really serve any purpose. The rest of the plot, the unit side of things, Kate always being Kate and heroic and brilliant, along with Tegan and Ace, which just made it, but I'll get into the fan service stuff in a minute. That was a nice compact story. I'm not entirely sure why Kate decided to buy herself more time in the way that she did. Seemed very, very risky. but that's what Kate does. I mean, she risks her life to save others. That's just who she is. She's her father's daughter. So that was all good. I loved the fact that Tegan was a little bit angry with the Doctor, just for the simple fact of not being in contact for the last 40 years. And yeah, I can see that. Not every companion is going to react the same way. I would have expected it to be Ace to be angry, because we never really did get to see Ace leave voluntarily because of the cancellation of the classic series and then the TV movie. So I thought they might write it as, you know, the usual, that he just dumped her somewhere and took off and never gave her a second thought. But they've written it to be like a mutual disagreement. And they were good at the end of it. It was touching, and it was great to see Tegan and Ace interact with the Doctors that they knew, that they were part of. The 7th and 5th Doctors. It's always great to see Peter Davison in his cricket outfit playing the Doctor. Is one of my favourite Doctors, Peter Davison. Not that I don't love Colin Baker, Sylvester McCoy and all the others, and it was great to see David Bradley reprise his role as the first Doctor. I could see why they couldn't get anyone to play Patrick Troughton. There's not many people that can pull that off. I was surprised that they didn't attempt to pull Sean Pertwee to play his dad, because he can pull off an impersonation of his father. So they did have an opportunity to have a third Doctor appearance, but maybe that's stretching it when you've already got David Bradley taking over as the first Doctor from William Hartnell, who can no longer play. You don't want to replace too many of the original actors. So yeah, maybe. But I loved all that. The volcanoes and all that. I'm not entirely sure what the greater aim of setting off all the volcanoes and disrupting the tectonic plates was going to achieve. I thought they were trying to conquer Earth, not destroy it. Didn't the Cybermen need the people to convert? And setting off all the volcanoes on Earth, which would have just killed off humanity like that, especially the big ones, the super volcanoes like Yellowstone, that's a civilization ending explosion right there. So that seemed to be counter to what I thought their objectives were. But there you go. Not entirely sure why Graham was there. Looked like they just threw Graham in there because why not? No explanation of why he was under the ground in Bolivia, under a volcano in Bolivia, fighting Daleks. No explanation whatsoever. It just seemed so random. And yeah, sure, I don't need an explanation for every little thing in this. It is, after all, only a TV show. But it stretches the believability. As for Vinder making an appearance, well, he didn't need to come back. His part was pretty useless, and could have been the role he played in the plot could have been taken over by any character, just a character that's introduced this episode purely for that reason. They didn't have to bring Vinder back. And they brought him back away from his family, away from Belle and the baby. So I don't see what the point of that was either. He wasn't particularly an effective character in the Flux. So, okay, it is what it is. Why were they there? Why were they in the show? And why were they doing the things that they were doing? I have no idea, but it is what it is. Force regeneration. That was an interesting thing. A little bit of a reference back to the War Games. One of my favourite classic Who stories of all time. And the Force regeneration of Patrick Troughton to John Pertwee. Loved it. Loved it. Not entirely sure how that, him transferring his personality into the body of the Doctor and how that works or whatever, but it added a little bit of suspense to the plot, which I liked. I'm not entirely sure now whether we got to include Sacha Darwin as a canonical Doctor, which would make him the, if I've got this correctly, the 16th Doctor, because obviously the 9th Doctor is the War Doctor. So the 10th Doctor is Chris Eccleston. The 11th and 12th Doctors are both David Tennant. The 13th is Matt. 14th is Peter. 15th is Jodie. The 16th would be Sacha. And now the 17th is David again. They really like David Tennant. David Tennant was a very, very popular Doctor. So is he canon now or not? Is Sacha Darwin canon as a Doctor? Be the only person ever to play the Doctor and the Master. Could be interesting. And Dan and Yazlev. That much was absolutely definitely certain. Sure enough, the Doctor could go back for Yaz because she didn't seem to want to leave, but Dan did. In fact, I don't know why Dan was in the episode at all either, except to give him a bit of a closer, which we already had. Because he got the date with the girl of his dreams, so he was happy. So again, I'm not entirely sure why they brought Dan back. As for the rest of it, it was just a really enjoyable episode. The fan service stuff, let's go through the fan service stuff. I knew Ace was going to be in there because I'd seen her name when I was programming my TiVo box to record it last week sometime. I saw her name in the credits as being a guest star, so I knew Ace was going to be in it. I didn't know Tegan was going to be in it, but I'm so glad she was. I loved the Tegan era because, for me, I started with Tom Baker, right in the middle of Tom Baker's, well, actually, towards the end of Tom Baker's era. So while I've got a great love for Tom Baker and his Doctor, Peter Davison, Colin Baker and Sylvester McCoy were my golden age of Doctor Who, kind of. They're the ones that really stick in my mind. So obviously Tegan and the reference to Adric, and we've got Ace as well, and we had Mel at the end, which was fantastic, and we had Joe at the end, which was brilliant. But again, I didn't know Katie Manning was going to be in this, but it seems obvious because she'd already reprised her role in the Sarah Jane adventure, The Death of the Doctor, so that made sense. And Ian, they brought William Russell back to play Ian Chesterton. Oh my God. I couldn't be happier because, I mean, he's 96 now or something. So this was really the last opportunity to bring him back. And okay, he only got one line, but yeah, well done. Well done for taking that opportunity to bring William Russell back. Other guest appearances. I'm not counting Vinder or Graham to be a special guest appearance because they were in it so recently. But definitely Ace, Tegan, Ian, Mel, 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th Doctors. Wow. I mean, wow. It's a pity they couldn't bring Chris or Peter Capaldi or Matt Smith back for it. But I suppose Matt Smith has been very, very busy filming things like Morbius and House of the Dragon. Peter Capaldi's got a new series coming out, so he would have been busy filming that at the time they were filming this. So I can understand. But as I said, it was a shame that though maybe that would have been too crowded. And it's a shame they couldn't. I don't know, actually. I didn't notice. They could have brought other companions, or the actors that played other companions, back as in other roles, just because. I didn't notice any of that, but I've only watched it once so far. I will be watching it multiple times more. So the references I noticed was Adric dying at the hands of the Cybermen. Sorry, spoilers. I did warn you at the beginning. The gold, the fact that gold used to be able to defeat Cybermen, that got a mention. That was good. Braveheart Tegan. And Nitro 9, of course. And, of course, the baseball bat that she used to defeat the Dalek in... Was it Remembrance of the Daleks? Or was it Resurrection of the Daleks? I always get those mixed up. And the jacket, of course. The original Dalek objectives about surviving, the survival of the Khaled race. I liked the idea of that. I like the idea of the traitor as well, the traitor Dalek, because since the series got renewed in 2005, they've been making the Daleks become a lot more independent. Very slowly, they're evolving. They're getting back their emotions, bit at a time. They're finding their individuality. And that could be taken a lot further in the oncoming years. I hope it does, in fact. And of course, we had the Cheetah People. We had a sort of reference to that, about the Master being half cat, which was a reference to the classic story, the very final classic story, Survival. And of course, various attempts at a reference to the almost iconic story, the Dalek Master Plan, which I will confess I have never watched. Because there's so many missing episodes, I just never got round to it. There's so many classic Who's from the first, second and third Doctor eras that I haven't seen. Because I just never got round to it. I don't know why. You get to a certain age and you just start falling back on old favourites. And that's what I did. I didn't want to discover any new episodes. I just wanted to fall back on the old classic Who's that I remember, like City of Death and Logopolis, and that's definitely a conversation for another video. And then we get to the end, the regeneration into David Tennant for a third time. He will be the 17th Doctor. How long is he going to be the Doctor for? Because the BBC have already announced who the next Doctor is going to be. And unless that was a ruse, which I don't see why it would be, because there was lots of past Doctor actors congratulating him on getting the role. And it was a big announcement. So what's going to happen at the beginning of the next season? Are we going to get David Tennant regenerating into Ncuti Gatwa straight away? Or are we going to get Ncuti to start the next season afresh and we only get a reason or an explanation for the off-screen regeneration of David Tennant to Ncuti at some point at a later date as a backstory? Or was it a ruse? We don't know. But what we do know is the next season is going to be Russell T Davies. And it looks like, because I don't see that there's any specials scheduled between now and the start of the next season. That doesn't mean to say there might not be, but if there isn't, then we're going to start off with possibly David Tennant and Russell T Davies again. I wonder if they'll bring back Catherine Tate or something. And we'll get just like this soft reboot. As much as I think Christopher Eccleston, no. As much as I think that Chris Chibnall has seriously screwed around with the canon of Doctor Who to a point where it's a little bit strained. And I'm not saying I dislike everything that Chris Chibnall has presented to us as a major canon plot. I'm just saying that some of it is stretching the already established canon to breaking point. And I'm wondering whether Russell T Davies is just going to do his own thing and just ignore everything that Chibnall has done, or whether he's going to work on it, turn it around maybe, because it's there. You know, we can't ignore the last 3.5 seasons. You know, there's changes that Chris Chibnall has made. They exist. So I hope Russell T Davies, and I believe that Russell T Davies is a good enough writer to turn all of that around without actually just dismissing it entirely. And I hope he does. I hope he turns this Timeless Children and these Cybermasters into something else, something a little bit more palatable. He could also do, I'm surprised we didn't see the Weeping Angels, but I'm hoping that Russell T Davies does something about the Weeping Angels, return them to their former glory, because they begin getting less and less effective with each episode that they're in. So I'm hoping that at some point in the next series he will bring the Angels back for one final story and make it so unbelievably gothic horror scary that it brings back that gut fear of the Weeping Angels all over again. Because I remember how people felt about Blink after it aired. The Weeping Angels were one of the most terrifying enemies introduced into New Who. And now they're not. And I really shouldn't be talking about the Weeping Angels because they didn't actually feature in this episode. And I should be keeping to this episode. So there we have it. Lots of things happening in this wild ride of an episode. I did enjoy it. There was a lot of things in there that I thought were pointless, not needed, or badly portrayed. But on the whole, taking the whole episode with all the fan service stuff into account, yeah, it was a good episode and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I'm so looking forward to more Doctor Who next year. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Next time there's a Doctor Who episode to react to. Until then, keep well. Bye bye.